Hello and welcome to the space between ideas. I'm Blank Gates. It is now it's still December. We got lots of things to talk about. Let's get started. Now, as you know, if you've been watching my videos, then you will have a pretty good understanding of the little road that we've been running down, and you will have seen the some of the ideas that we've been talking about. So let's just jump right into it. Mm, thing is that what I want to do today is um, I want to show you a little bit of a case study. So, as you know, I've been doing a little bit of coaching, and in the coaching process, it's an interesting process because I don't know, like how well do you trust a coach, and how well do you think that they have some good information that they can provide for you in your startup journey or in your business in general? And you could say that, you know, obviously every coach you talk to, there's two different there's two basic things that you have to watch out for. One is how much experience does this person have, and then the second is how well do they understand some methodology. Now the issue that comes from like how much experience do they have. So you have two different issues. The first issue regarding like how much experience do they have is when they have too much experience, meaning that they have so much experience in one specific area that they become a specialist in that area, and they lean in to that concept. And so when they're coaching you, they they're really hoping that you get to the topic that they're really good at. But then if you need support with topics that aren't necessarily high on their experience list, then they're going to give you generic answers that might not answer your question. So then, in that case, you hope that your coach has um, a pretty good foundation in there in some kind of coaching methodology. So they're not coaching you specifically on something they have experience with, but they have some ways to help you think through problems. What I'm talking about is once you've mastered one subject, then it becomes easier to master other subjects because I think overall you become more interested in the mastery of subject matter, but also you understand what it means to master some type of subject matter. And then it's kind of like once you have a framing for your house, then you can start to build on that house. And once you've built the frame for one house, it's easier to build a frame for another house because you've been through the process. On the other hand, if you have like somebody who doesn't really have a lot of very specific experience, you might have like a you still might have a good experience with them and their coaching ability if they have a firm foundation in some kind of theoretical framework. And then if you're interested in using that framework to brainstorm and come up with some solutions. So what happens in my coaching practice is that yeah, a lot of the time I talk to people about things and I'm not trying to solve their problem. I'm trying to provide them with some thinking frameworks. And I'm not necessarily saying, well, I'm not saying that I have a huge ton of experience in very specific areas that, because I don't. I've been working on this startup idea for 10 years. Before that, I was living in China and I was speaking Chinese in a foreign law firm. So I moved from legal research and legal advice to this research experience that I've been working on for the last 10 years. And my experiences in this research project has given me the opportunity to listen to other people provide answers for how they apply different thinking tools and methodologies to their experiences. That doesn't mean that I know the answer to the question that they have, but I usually have some kind of framing for how they can think about how to solve their problems. So my focus is always about teach the teach the principle, teach the thinking framework, and then see how far that can help that person to solve their problems. Now, the thing that happens sometimes I run into some people that are basically at the same stage as me. And let me show you an example of one such experience. So here's the Buchholz drive model, and the reason that I'm showing you the Buchholz drive model is because not just because I changed the colors, but because I want to show you a case study that happened yesterday or the day before? Yeah, yesterday. So I'm meeting with this guy. He's from Russia. He's not living in Russia right now, but he's from Russia. And I've spoken with him a couple of times a week for about 4 or 5 months. And in general, his main focus was he wanted to learn some business thinking tools and some business thinking methodologies just to improve. So he wanted to be able to improve his ability to use his business English and specifically how to think about problems using thinking tools and thinking methodologies. After 4 months, 4 or 5 months of chatting, then suddenly he started to dream about going back to his home country. If you're not from Russia, then maybe it's difficult for you to understand because maybe you see this Russian conflict from the perspective of whatever news source that you are connecting to. And for example, yesterday on Christmas Day, I spoke to my dad, and he was kind of like, "Whoa, yeah, I heard this in the news." And I was like, "Yeah." So the way the news works in general is mainstream media, the the news channel, particularly if they're receiving funding from the from the government, but in general, Western news sources, for example, in Canada, they have a policy about how they want to structure the news information. And so they said that Putin's on his last leg, and their economy is crashing, and it's like I don't know why uh, Canada's decided that that's the policy that they want to use for what's happening uh, in this conflict. Like I literally, I can see Russia from here, from my window, and I listen to a lot of different sources on YouTube, and I don't get that same impression. I get the impression that China is now producing 30% of the world's uh, stuff. It has 30% of the world's manufacturing capability. They live right next door to Russia, which is the largest country of resources on the earth. And so when you have the largest manufacturing capacity next door to the largest resource base, it seems as though that's a pretty good combination for economic development. And yeah, so I'm not really sure exactly what they're talking about. But my Russian friend, he did mention like it is getting a little more challenging to get his dream job, the job that he wants, because a lot of Western companies have moved out of Russia, and then it's like, okay, so what opportunities are available? And he said, well, I want to focus on starting up my own business. I would rather start a new business than have to like go through the rat race and get a new job. This is particularly true with Russian people who are used to working for foreign companies. And then they go back into a Russian company and it's like, whoa, it's like this is not as fun. The same thing happens, by the way, with Chinese people. They work for a Chinese company and it's like way more intense and it's like way more like they're a lot more the managers are a lot more hands-on. There's a lot of micromanaging happening. And there's a lot of office politics and there's a lot of different expectations which aren't exactly the same when it comes to working for a foreign enterprise, which actually scares me because what I'm seeing in general is that the Russian and Chinese companies are getting more and more competitive, and now they're winning wars. So the hands-on system is seems to have certain benefits, and I'm not sure how the story is going to end, but certainly I'm interested in watching. Um, I have a very neutral approach. I speak the Chinese language. I speak a little bit of Russian, and now I'm learning French. And I talk to people from on both sides of the borders. I talk to people that have different political affiliation. I haven't made any major decision about what my political affiliation is going to be. I've already made a decision about my religious affiliation, and I feel like I'm satisfied with that for the time being. And my religious affiliation has churches all over the world. It's one of the most international of all the churches. And so, from my perspective, I'm open to supporting people who were born in any country. And when it comes to politics, I don't have any party card. I don't have any membership in a political party or news organization, and I don't have any investments in any political organization. I bought silver. I have silver coins, which I'm very happy with right now because I bought them for $20 a coin, and apparently the price is higher than that now. And I have real estate. So, uh, all right. So I'm talking to this guy yesterday, and let me show you this. So at the end of our discussion, I was able to asked him. I asked him like, okay, so are you? How would you rate yourself between 1 and 10 regarding your level of effort? And how would you rate yourself regarding your level of success? So he said he'd rate himself above 5 when it comes to level of effort and below 5 when it comes to level of success. And I told him I would rate myself above 5 with level of success, and I would rate myself above 5 for level of effort, which brings us to here. Oh, I should remove his name. That's too late. You've all seen his name. You'll just do it that. Now you think it's a girl. All right. So Nikki is okay. You see, so you show me yours, and I'll show you mine. Uh, Nikki's in trailing position because he was able to commit to setting up a spam machine, but still doesn't have a product UX concept, which will come after he gets a questionnaire responses. Blaine is in a leading position because he was able to show his UX logic. All right, so what I did was we began the question with this concept about touch points. And he said, okay, what's a touch point? I said, a touch point is basically how the customer and potential customers engage with your brand. For example, if you have word of mouth marketing, this is a touch point. The question is like, what are people saying about you, your brand, your company? And then he said, well, what do you mean word of mouth marketing? And I said, obviously, I'm talking about this. Like, isn't this obvious word of mouth marketing? So the first time that the ball is thrown up into the air, this is a marketing message, and then the marketing message it reaches the potential customer, and then boom, then you score. So it means that they become a customer, and then now this dude is the customer, and so now you have your customer. He's going to throw up the next marketing message. So your marketing team is going to be marketing to people who don't know anything about your company. And then your customers are going to be marketing to other people who don't know anything about your company. So basically, we're talking about the inbound marketing cycle. So we're saying that when you have a stranger, they never heard about our product. So then the first thing you have to do is you have to attract attention. You have to create awareness, and then once they start looking at you, then they're going to start considering what their needs are and how you could potentially provide with them for them a solution. And then finally engage. They start using your product, and eventually they make a decision to become a customer. So this is the area over here, the delight. I don't know why it's red, but this is where you turn your customer into a promoter. If you're able to delight your customer with the onboarding experience, the with the unpackaging, unboxing experience, with the product experience, with the customer experience, all that stuff, then they're probably going to become more than willing to share your product with their friends. That's word of mouth marketing. Have any of that? So I said, all right. So basically, what we got some marketing messages. For example, Telegram channel, social media. We got ads. We got Google search. We got forums. We got lists. In order to create leads, and then we have a website where we want to be gathering emails. So, and then you're gonna have some kind of customer onboarding where you're gonna have some market qualified leads. You're gonna convert them into customers, and then they're gonna begin using the product. And then you have your actual product. So these are some of the main touch points. They're hear about your business from other people. They see your marketing messages. They see your website. They provide some kind of contact information, and eventually they start to use your product. So I said, all right, so what do you like? So I said, what are you doing? Like, because ClickUp, it's the whole concept behind ClickUp is that ClickUp. Where is our ClickUp? Clicking, clicky, clicky. I don't know where it is. It should be on here somewhere. All right, that's below. Okay. So the idea of ClickUp does two things. ClickUp helps you pick a task and then turn your tasks into steps. And ClickIt helps you to select one of those steps and turn it into a priority. All right, so what happens with Nikki? We started with marketing messages. I said, which marketing message would you like to start using? He said Telegram and Google and Yandex. And the Google and Yandex is actually down here. So he explained that basically, I'll see him next week on Monday. 5 people fill out questionnaire with their email credentials. Monday, I will have 5 questionnaires filled out. So I don't know. He's got today to work on it, and then Saturday and Sunday to work on what exactly. So you can see project ClickUp. We have step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. So he said, first I'll create a Telegram channel. Then I'm going to create 5 to 10 posts copied from some other channel. I'm going to add bots. I'm going to add views. I'm going to add reactions. So he's going to make his channel. He's going to warm up his channel, make it look like people are there, make it look like things are interesting. Then he's going to buy a spam machine that will spam a list of Telegram channels with my link in the comments, which is basically buying advertising. And he's also going to buy advertising in small channels. Then he's going to create a questionnaire. He's going to create the questionnaire questions and decide which questionnaire tool to use, like Google Forum or some other thing. Then he's going to analyze the conversion to subscriber, decide when to post a link to questionnaire, and then collect the responses. And I thought he did awesome at this. In fact, I was really excited. I was happy. I was full of joy. I thought that was awesome. Then he says, all right, and then I'm going to, so this is a Telegram bot. So I asked him, well, how about your website? What are you going to do with a website? And he said, well, I don't have a website. And he said, I don't have a product either. And so I said, okay, so can we create a landing page to start collecting emails? He said, okay, sure. So, all right, so we're going to mock up some designs of your product. We're going to create a waiting list sales page. We're going to ask people to join the waiting list. We're going to have some questionnaire to collect their email. And then he said, okay, what questions? So I found this one, Instagram. What is your current situation? What are your goals? What are your obstacles? How much would you pay? What else should we know? And then he's going to connect the Google and the Yandex ad campaign to direct traffic to the sales page. Awesome. All right. And then product. Then he says, I still don't know what the product looks like. So now once he gets the information back from the questionnaires, then he's going to decide on a design. If I'm building for what I think is my target customer, that's one scenario. And then if I'm going to build based on the questionnaire feedback from real people, that's a second questionnaire. So then he's going to create the UX logic and then connect the UX to the UI design, publish it, ask some people that responded to the questionnaire to test it. So there you go. So this is, and then I said, okay, that's like this section, the task list, adding steps to it. And so he's like, well, what are you talking about? And I said, of these 8, we have 4 times 3, so we have 12 steps. Okay, so which steps are you going to put into our priority box? We're going to dial in your priorities. Now, I thought he was just going to say step 1, I'm going to create a channel. I'm going to create a Telegram channel. I don't know. I thought that was like the step 1. I mean, that's how my brain works. Step 1. he said, okay, so the first thing I have to do is buy a spam machine that will spam. So I was just kind of like, what? Why would you buy the spam machine first? But I wasn't like, I didn't really want to react to him. I didn't want to react to any of the situation. I just wanted to listen to him and be open and honest and see what happens. And I said, okay, good. So then I put the buy the spam machine in here. And then he said, okay, I said, what's the other thing? He said, create the waiting list sales page, create the landing page. And then I asked for some dates. He said, well, I can buy the spam machine by December 26th, which is today. I'm going to send him a message. That'd be funny if he was watching my video. I sent him a message right during the time of the video. Good. Because like, what else are you gonna do? Like, either you're gonna take action or you're not. What other options are there? Right, good. So you got it. So that's my whole product right there. That's why I said to him, I said, I'll show, if you show me yours, I'll show you mine. So he was very open to explain that like he still doesn't have a product. And then I asked about product design, and basically he said, well, I mean, like, I don't really know. And I said, okay, so then we need some potential we need some customer questionnaires. We need some questionnaires. We need to get some feedback from potential customers. And he was like, yeah, exactly. This brought me back to my own product. So Blaine is in a leading position because he was able to show his UX logic, right? So it's this step here, UX logic. But I also have a problem here. So I have the UX logic for my product. It doesn't mean I actually have a product. And also, this guy is talking about, I mean, this is one of the key issues that I've been thinking about for a while is how do I get how do I set up this this funnel? All right. Just a little bit distracted. Okay. So this is the case study. Now, that's the end of the case study. It doesn't go any further than that. That's the discussion I had with him. So then it's easy. Next time I see him, I'll say, okay, so tell me about your Telegram channel. Tell me about your spam machine. Tell me about your question. Show me your questionnaire. Let's look at some of the answers to those questionnaire questions. And oh, by the way, did you get 5 people to fill them out? And then I'll say, okay, let me take a look at your landing page. It's actually quite a bit of work. How many people joined your waiting list? How many people filled out the questionnaire? And what's the UX logic behind your product? So I got a lot of questions I could ask him. All right, so what am I trying to talk about now? What do I want to talk? In fact, what I want to show you is it's an idea of it's a concept of a forum. If your product has no basis in the world of forums, then it's kind of a challenge. All right, so what am I talking about? If we take the sales funnel, all right, so we talked about awareness, right? So that's the inbound marketing. The first thing is awareness. That means people start to get to know you, and then sometimes they click like on your social media. And then trust, so that means that they're willing to give you some contact information. Then that means they actually call you and ask you on a date. And then buy, it means they If you what? If you what? Put a ring on it. Oh, 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 oh. So, and then they make a decision to buy. So this is a real simple horizontal sales funnel. Now let's look at this example. So this example is called a little company called Notion. Now, when they started the game, I think probably they started with blog content, SEO content. And then what that did was it got people to their website, and then people signed up for some kind of either email nurturing or a free product trial. And then after the email nurturing, then they eventually got to the free product trial. Then the free product trial, they eventually hit the team block limits or the AI trial limits. And then they moved to the paid version. Now, the way that Loom worked is that they have an automatic loop set up. They have community platforms and they have content and SEO. Now, we already talked about content and SEO, so let's go through the community platform. It takes it all the way back to the beginning of the funnel. So this should be the word of mouth marketing. So what happens in these community platforms? We have Reddit and we have Discord. So what happened was that people they started sharing some of their Notion templates. And with the Notion templates, then people were able to get started with Notion. So you need Notion in order to use the template. So this is a good case study to understand how does Notion do affiliate marketing and what do these places look like. Now, if we look at the SEO content, then so last time we looked at this. Now, that what happened is there's also UGC how-to videos. So we have YouTube creators, TikTok creators, and Reels. All kinds of people are creating content to explain how are they using Notion, how they're getting value out of Notion. And the thing is that a lot of these people were creators themselves, and then they started using Notion, and they started to realize, oh wow, Notion's really helping me to get organized and get some work done. Now, is it possible to get Notion to set up a Notion template, and then inside of the Notion template, then it would be basically the same as Qubit Connect? Yes, definitely, 100%. In fact, that I think Notion templates, it could be a good place for you to come up with some of your app ideas. If you want to create an app, you could go into Notion and go into the Notion templates and see how many of the Notion templates already exist as apps. Because the thing about Notion is it's tools to build stuff. It's tools to build business logic, to build user experience logic. And so I think that a lot of those templates could easily be turned into apps. Now, but this also gives us another interesting thing to talk about because if you're if I can build this thing inside of Notion, then that means that my app is actually a type of template. And the templates inside of Notion are they're basically like a table. It's a table that helps you to information flows through a series of boxes. So they're kind of like complicated. They're boxes that have formulas. So I think one way to think about Notion is basically it's a box that can manage smaller boxes with formulas. So they create workflows. And my workflow here is it's relatively simple. You could easily create it with Notion. But and so I'm trying to think about how do I get UGC content? How do I create a forum? And because today I was thinking about well, let's go back into this case study. So when you look at this case study, what I see is, I mean, other than having to delete this guy's name, but I mean, there's like a million guys named Nikita from Russia, so it's not like you're gonna ever come close to figuring out who this guy is. Although if you look for Russian guys named Nikita in Kazakhstan, maybe that'll get closer. Anyways, what's the point? There's no point in talking about that. But the main idea here is that what he's kind of landed on is like this is a template. This is a startup template. This anybody could use this startup template. And so like imagine you go onto Reddit and then you're like, hey, like so this is what I wanted to do today. So I want to try this um I want to try this process. All right, so today I got this idea that well, so actually I got to figure out which microphone you're using to listen to my talking. My assumption is that you are using the microphone that I'm holding in my hand right now. So, I mean, there is a possibility that it's actually not that microphone. Hmm. So I'm not really sure which microphone you're using. If I talk really, really, yeah, I'm sure it's this microphone now. I'm really sure. I'm sure. I'm really sure that it's this microphone now. Okay, I don't know which microphone it is. I really don't. Anyways, that's okay. How are we gonna do this? So what I want to do is I want to have a conversation. So I'm gonna hold my Google Gemini in my left hand, and then I want to use the Google Gemini in my browser as well. So, all right, let's try this like this. So let's first test the process to see if we can have a conversation with Google Gemini and if it will listen to us. Now, I would say that I have to use fast when it comes to like having a conversation with the chat because that's it just works better like that. All right, so let's begin. Are you ready to listen to our conversation? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you just fine. How can I help you today?
Okay, so let me just try that again. Can you tell me whether or not you can hear me?
Yes, I can definitely hear you. Is something causing you to think otherwise?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to figure out which microphone to use on my computer because I want you to talk to me and my computer at the same time.
I understand. To have me talk to your computer, you might need to adjust your sound settings on your device to select the correct microphone. Is there a specific program you're trying to use?
Yeah, well, uh, I'm using Google on my. Okay, I'm just checking right now. Yeah, it sounds like it's working fine. Okay, good. So you can hear me. I can hear you, right?
That's right. I can hear you clearly, and I believe you can hear me too. What's on your mind?
All right. So the thing is that I'm doing some thinking, and what I want to do is I want to talk to you about this company called Notion.
Notion. Got it. What would you like to know about it? Are you interested in how it works, its features, or something else?
A little bit something else. So what I noticed is that in the Notion app, you have a variety of different feedback loops to get people to talk about Notion and to share templates. So they have something called a community platform, and the community platform I think are primarily in Reddit and Discord. So what happens is that people they discuss these templates that they're creating with Notion, and they talk about how they use Notion to work on projects.
That's a great way for people to learn and get ideas. Sharing how templates are used can be really valuable for both new and experienced users. Are you looking for specific types of templates or project examples?
Well, the idea here is that I'm building an application, and in my application, it is kind of like a Notion template. So it does two things. Basically, people they can write down a task, and then once they've written down the task, then they have four cells, like an Excel spreadsheet. They have four cells where they can break down the task into four sub steps or four steps, and then they can create a new row, and then they can write in their task, and then they can write in some steps for that task. So whenever they have some kind of task, then write in they can write in subtasks.
That sounds like a very structured and helpful way to manage tasks. Breaking down tasks into smaller steps can improve productivity. Are you considering adding other features like due dates or collaboration to your application?
Yes, but we don't want to talk about that right now. We just want to talk about the most simple structure of the app. And right now, the most simple structure of the app is just to label a task, label some information as a task. So there's one column that can be labeled a task, and then we have columns which are represent step one, step two, step three, and step four. And so each row is a task which is followed by the four steps which need to be taken in order to complete the task in that row.
I see. That clear structure, with one column for the task and four for substeps, is very straightforward and easy to navigate. Is there a particular reason for limiting it to four steps?
Well, one reason to limit it to four steps is because of the width of a screen. So when people are using their phone in order to access the application, then what they need to do is they need to be able to see the steps inside of the screen. And then the other thing is that I believe that people they if they see something like as four steps, it looks like it's doable. If it's 7 steps or 10 steps, it almost seems like it's way too many steps. But 4 steps, it's long enough that you can definitely get all of the information out, and it's short enough that people can accomplish those steps. And so my application, it has one additional benefit related to the way that we create steps. And basically, the app, it's called Cube, Cube, Cube It. And so what happens with the Qubit app is that um, you you can click one of the steps. Let's say that you have a task, and then you click one of the steps because that step, it looks like we need to break that step down into smaller pieces. So you can click the qubit button, and
That's
then
a really thoughtful approach to design. Optimizing for mobile usability and cognitive load makes a lot of sense for a task management app. What is that additional benefit you mentioned related to creating steps?
well, okay, so there's two things. So one thing is that when you are let's say that there's one step that you want to break down further into smaller steps, then you can click the qubit button. There's a button called cube, cube, cube it. And so you click the qubit button, and then you can click whatever that step is that you think you need to break down into smaller steps, and then that whatever that step is that you click, it becomes the task in the next row, and then AI will automatically provide you with four potential steps that you could take to break that task. That one that is now turned into a task into four more steps, and then you can edit that if you want to make some changes to those four steps.
That's a really innovative feature. The ability to dynamically break down steps using Qubit and then leverage AI to suggest further substeps is quite powerful for detailed planning and efficiency, while still maintaining that four step focus. Are there other key functionalities you'd like to discuss?
Yeah, there's one more. So basically, once you have filled out some of your tasks and subtasks, then there is something called a dial. You're going to prioritize some specific steps. So you can click like you can click the button for um, the left side. So there's two sides. There's the left side and there's the right side to a section called dial in your priorities. So I would click dial left, and then I could click one of the sub steps. Well, they're not actually sub steps, they're just steps. So I would click dial left, and then I would click like step one, for example, for one of the tasks. And then I would click dial right, and then I would click maybe step two or step three of another task. And then that means that there's two of the steps are now in the dial, even if they're not of the same task. And then I would click one of those again inside of the dial in your priorities box, and then it would change color, like for example, change to yellow, and then I would know exactly which task is a priority right now.
That dial in your priorities system sounds quite sophisticated. It provides a flexible way to compare and visualize your top priorities across different tasks. The use of color for immediate identification is also very helpful. Is there another key component you'd like to highlight?
Well, I mean, there is a couple of other things that happen. For example, any of the steps that you add and any of the tasks that you add, if you swipe the screen, then to the left, then the whole screen will move like you're looking at like another side of a cube. And in that new side, on the right side, that screen is going to be a list of all of the tasks and a list of all the subtasks. And then you can reorder them as you want. And also you can click on them. There'll be a screen that opens up so that you can set an alarm. And then also you can add something like you can decide whether or not it's a recurring task so that you can have a streak for certain types of tasks. But I don't really want to talk about the to-do list aspect of creating tasks, but I want to go back to the main screen. And the reason I brought up Notion is because of this concept we were talking about, which is related to the way that Notion was able to create some kind of Discord and Reddit community in order for people to begin to discuss templates.
I understand. So, the core focus is on the community aspect demonstrated by Notion and how such a platform can foster discussion and sharing, particularly around templates. Are you considering building a similar community for your application?
Yeah, so I was thinking of developing some kind of community element to this application. So, because it's not just the idea of um, it's not just the idea of a Reddit community or a Discord community, which gives people the opportunity to discuss some of these ideas, like their thoughts about templates. Well, first of all, I want to describe the concept of like what is a template exactly, because inside of the inside of the Notion community, a template is the building blocks of what Notion is being used for. And so those building blocks are what helps people to set up the dashboard. It's really a dashboard builder. And people they need dashboards in order to do certain types of workflows. Now, just because you have a dashboard, it doesn't exactly give you the step-by-step tasks and the steps that you need to do in order to complete those tasks. It just gives you a dashboard and it helps you to understand where information goes inside of a workflow. And what I noticed is that in addition to Discord and Reddit, there's also UGC how-to videos. For example, on YouTube, on TikTok and on Instagram Reels, you have these UGC creators who are able to discuss how you can use Notion as a tool. And then the way that they're using Notion as a tool then becomes something that these UGC creators can get noticed for. And so they're being noticed, meaning that they have an incentive to provide these how-to videos. And then the Reddit and Discord communities, they have some, the people who are in those communities also have some benefit because a lot of people are looking for some discussions about how to use Notion in with certain types of use cases. And also these templates, they are ranking on Google, and it gives people, they're all based on the idea of what kinds of dashboards do I need in order for my project to succeed.
That makes sense. Notion's template community, bolstered by UGC creators and visibility through Google, creates a powerful ecosystem for dashboard building and workflow discussion. Are you envisioning a similar template driven community for your app's task structure?
Yeah, so the idea is like, for example, yesterday I had a chat with one of the guys that I'm doing coaching with, build a finance app. Like basically, he wants to build a little dashboard which is related to. So he's been working with Excel to manage his finances for many years, and then he realized that he can take his system of managing his finances and he can provide a similar system for other people. And so, in order for him to sell his Excel template for finances, then what he wants to do is he wants to turn that into a website. But then, as we started to discuss his project, we talked about, for example, touch points that could be a benefit for his business are creating marketing messages through Telegram. And then he could like buy some spam machine so that it sends his Telegram link to other channels. And then eventually people could come back to his channel where they would be reading some of the posts that he created. And then they would see the questionnaire. And then he would ask
That
them.
sounds like a really interesting. Sorry, I was just wondering if you plan to use Telegram for your own application's community element, similar to what you discussed with your colleague.
No, I just wanted to point out that like so he was able to create a task, which is to create a Telegram channel, and his goal is to like have 5 questionnaires filled out. Then I asked him like what are the 4 steps, and he was able to say step 1, create the Telegram channel, step 2, buy a spam machine, step 3, create the questionnaire, and step 4, analyze the subscribers and find out what kinds of finance problems they have and what kind of template they're looking for, and so that would help him to be able to design the product, asking questions directly from the users.
That's a very specific and detailed plan for market research. It sounds like he's using that 4 step structure effectively to gather valuable insights. Is that how you envision the Qubit button being used in your application?
No, not exactly. And then the second example is that maybe what he would do is he'd create some mock-up designs for his product, and then he would create a waiting list sales page, and then he would ask people to join his waiting list. And then questions, for example, like what is your current situation? What are your goals? What are your obstacles? How much would you pay? And what else should we know? And then he could create like a Google or Yandex ad campaign to direct traffic to this waiting list sales page. That is another example of how he created a task and then a 4 step process to accomplish that task.
I see. It sounds like that 4 step structure is quite versatile for planning different types of entrepreneurial tasks, from community building to product development and marketing. It highlights the value of breaking down complex projects into manageable steps.
Yeah, and there's one more example. So then when it's time for him to start to build the product, then what he's going to do is he's going to look at his own design for the product and look at how he's been using Excel spreadsheets for his own finances. Then he's going to look at the feedback from the questionnaires. And then he's going to start to put into his UX logic, and then connect his UI design to his UX logic and publish it. And then he's going to ask some more people to respond to he's going to ask some of the people who responded to the questionnaires to test out the piece of software. Now, what you see in this example is how somebody is has the example of a Telegram channel and a waiting list sales page, and how they're using this to get feedback, questionnaire feedback, which they're going to use to power a design, and then they're going to provide that design to these questionnaire people who answered the questionnaires. And so the whole concept goes back to this idea of Notion, where Notion it builds the dashboard templates, but what I'm building, it actually gives you the step-by-step process for doing things. And then so what I'm
I
envisioning.
So, are you intending to incorporate those community and UGC elements, like template sharing or user driven discussions, into your own task management application?
Well, not into my task application. It's not going into my application, but what I'm maybe there's an opportunity here for people to discuss, like, because the main focus for me is like how do you actually get things done? And my app it gives people an opportunity to make lists of tasks, and it gives an opportunity to make lists of subtasks. And this whole concept of subtasks and subtasks is something that people could download. So, like for example, UGC creators, they can say, "Hey, look, I'm using Qubit, and here is my task list for creating some Instagram post." And then, so what you could do is you could download his package, and then when you download his package, it would automatically populate your Qubit with his Instagram creation process. Or another person could say, "Here's 5 things that you need to do when you're setting up your vibe coding tool." And so download my package, and then you'll have like the 5 steps it takes and all of the sub steps that you need to take in order to set up your vibe coding project. And then, well, anytime that like a student who downloads.
Ah, I see. A student who dabbles could definitely benefit from downloadable task packages, offering pre made structures for things like study plans or that the kind of user you have in mind?
Yeah, well, I'm just saying that like I'm just wondering if there's some like how would I structure either a Reddit group or a Discord group, or how would I influence UGC creators, and how would I be able to rank on Google? So how can I how do these Notion template groups actually form, and how do people share their Notion templates? And then is there some way I can follow that pattern to have people create task lists with steps, and then so that people can share those Qubit packages, and then other people could download that package and start using it right away.
You could start by creating dedicated Discord and Reddit channels for your Qubit app. Encourage users to share their custom task packages, perhaps with specific categories for different projects or needs. To attract UGC creators, you could run contests or showcase the best packages on your website or social media, providing incentives for participation. For Google ranking, optimizing your website for terms related to task list, templates, productivity dashboard, and Qubit could be effective. Does that make sense as a starting point?
All right, I'm gonna finish the Google. Okay, let's. All right, googly goo. All right, I gotta sit up straighter somehow. Okay, so here we go. Now, what we want to do is just gonna get the. I can just change it actually. So, what's the first sentence? This is a brilliant. Okay. All right, so let me just play the audio here.
This is a brilliant realization. You're essentially moving from workflow design, which is what Notion templates are, to execution design, which is what your Qubit packages are. Notion succeeded because it stopped being a tool and became a platform for experts to share their brains. To do the same with Qubit, you can follow the exact path they took, but tailored for your 4 step execution logic. 1. The Notion template blueprint. Notion didn't actually build its community, it scaffolded it. Here's how they did it. The Lego mentality. They gave users building blocks. In your case, the block is a task plus 4 steps plus AI logic. Ambassadors, the 1%. They found people who were already obsessed with the app and gave them the title of Notion Ambassador. These people weren't employees. They were fans who got early access and a direct line to the founders. Decentralization. Notion allowed subcommunities to form anywhere: Reddit, Discord, Telegram, Facebook. They didn't try to own the conversation, they just fueled it with resources. 2. How to structure your Qubit community. For Qubit, you are sharing process, not just a layout. Here is how to organize it. On Reddit, the Discovery Hub, Reddit is your SEO engine. Because Reddit posts rank high on Google, this is where people will find Qubit. The subreddit, r/Qubit app, or r/the 4 steps. The content. People should post packages with titles like Package 4 Steps to Launch a Telegram Spam Machine. The sharing loop. When someone clicks a link in the Reddit post, it should open your app and instantly populate those rows. This instant gratification is why Notion templates went viral. On Discord, the Office Hours Hub, Discord is for high-intensity users. The Work With Me vibe. Create channels for specific niches. Hashcoding-workflows, hashmarketing-hacks, hashfinance-logic. The feedback loop. This is where you, the founder, talk to people like your coaching friend. You help them refine their 4 steps, and then they publish the result to the Reddit community. 3. Influencing UGC creators, TikTok/Reels/YouTube. UGC creators don't just want to review an app, they want to show a transformation. The hook. I was overwhelmed by goal, so I cubicked it. The visual. Show the screen swipe where the cube turns to show the priority dial. It's a very satisfying visual for short-form video. The incentive. Offer a creator fund, or simply a featured creator section in the app. If their package is the most downloaded, they get a badge. Creators crave that expert status. 4. Ranking on Google, the SEO strategy. To rank like Notion, you don't rank for Task Manager. You rank for problems. Keyword strategy. People search for how to do X. Example. How to set up a vibe coding environment. The page. You create a landing page for that specific Qubit package. Title. The 4-step process to set up vibe coding. Downloadable Qubit package. Content. A text version of the 4 steps. Google reads this. And a Get This Package button. Summary table. Notion versus Qubit. Feature. Notion. Dashboards. Qubit. Execution. The unit of value. The template. Layout. The package. Steps plus AI logic. User motivation. I want to organize my info. I want to finish this task now. UGC style. Show and tell. Tour. The shortcut. Action. Community role. Designing workspaces. Refining methodologies. A strategic next step. To get this started, you need the first 10 packages. These should be the gold standard examples that prove the system works, like the Telegram marketing plan your friend made. Would you like me to help you draft the logic for 5 high-value Qubit packages, e.g. for AI coding, UX design, or local marketing, that you could use as your launch library?
Yeah, actually, I do. Okay. To some extent, I can see how this would be valuable for me. And well, let me describe my situation, and then you can decide what the 5 high value Qubit packages might look like for me. Um, Now, so while I'm talking here, I'm just going to go over to my application, and then I'm going to show you exactly what the first page, like the main page of the Qubit Connect app, is going to look like. And then we can talk about it, which means so the first thing is I need to start communicating. So I need to create a daily habit for communicating on Reddit. And then so the question is how do I communicate on Reddit so that people will, so I can provide value to other people's Reddit communities, and then at the same time they might be interested in visiting my Reddit community. And I'm just wondering if there's any connection between me as creating a community on Reddit, and then when I communicate on other people's Reddit like how does that influence other people to come and look at my the thing that I'm creating. So the main idea is like how do I contribute in Reddit so that I'm seen as as a person that's providing value. So in fact, maybe in this way, I could probably maybe there's an opportunity where I'm answering people's questions using the Qubit Connect methodology, where people are going to be where I'm able to explain the tasks and the steps to solve some kind of problem, and then also the priority inside of the prioritizing it dial in your prioritizing dial. So maybe that's one idea, maybe that's two ideas. I don't know. Then next is inside of Reddit, like how do I actually create that community and like this my own channel, and then how do I get people to start to come in and look at it and follow it, and how do I make it more exciting to follow? And then next is like what's my strategy going to be? Am I going to create like some Telegram channel and then start to try to figure out how to get some like some feedback from Telegram? And am I going to share my application inside of Telegram? What's my Telegram strategy? Should I have a Telegram strategy? And then like so how do I do that type of work inside of Telegram, if that's like a good idea or not? And then next is what is my social media going to start looking like? Because now that I have an idea, even though I don't have the actual project set up, I need to start creating some social media campaigns, whether it be TikTok, YouTube, or Instagram. So how do I do that? And then another thing is that once I start to communicate my idea, then I need to start building the app. And so how do I set up a like a vibe coding tool? For example, Google Anti-Gravity has a vibe coding tool. And when I watch some like YouTube, and I'm just starting to notice that a lot of people have like things that you should know before you start vibe coding. So there's some way that we can try to create some, we can use our Qubit Connect to set up some kind of list of tasks for preparing for vibe coding. And then what else is there left? So eventually I'm going to have to launch the app. So then like, how do I, yeah, so you could see based on what I've said, like how many different instruction sets do I need just to launch those things? Nano banano, nano banano, nano banano, nano banano. Just got a message from Nikki. This looks like he's taking a little trip to St. Petersburg. This is the perfect moment to dog food your own product. You're feeling overwhelmed by the complexity of launching a product across multiple channels. This is exactly the problem Qubit Connect is designed to solve. Looking at your UI mockup, you have a structure ready, the task list for steps, the dial for immediate priorities, the Qubit button for breaking things down based on the brain dump you just gave me. You don't need one giant plan. You need 5 distinct Qubit packages to manage this launch phase. Here are the 5 high-value packages tailored exactly to your current situation. You could load these directly into your app mockup. Reddit value add routine. Become a Reddit authority. Find 3 active posts asking to process help with target committee. Draft a Qubit-style 4-step solution. Paste this solution to the comment. Reply to any comment on your solution within 4 hours. How to dial package 2, seed my subreddit, write the pinned start here post explaining the 4-step philosophy, post 3 golden example packages, create a request package thread for users to post problems, DM 5 helpful people from package 1 and invite them to critique, pre-launch UGC, define the hook, the pane of endless to-do lists, show the solution mockup, image showing the 4-step limit, show off the payoff, an animation of the dial lightning, call to action, link in bio to join subreddit, vibe coding, install necessary IDE, clean up, set up a clean GitHub repository, write the system prompt for define Klubert's architecture, run the hello world test generating code. It's like it's too basic. Telegram visibility, set up a channel and link a simple polling bots, broadcast one specific question about user problem, DM the 3 most insightful respondents. Okay. Yeah, I got one more question. I just was kind of interested in now, if you look at the design of the of Qubit Connect that I provided for you, and if you think about the infrastructure which is provided by Notion, I'm just curious if it already has this functionality. For example, I know that it has a like it has the ability to have a table, and then I'm just wondering if it's possible to create a button inside of Notion where I click the button and then it adds a task row. And then also, is it possible that if I click a subtask, then it would then use artificial intelligence? Like maybe I can plug in an API key and then it will just like, so I could click a step and then it would automatically generate a new row. And then it would use AI to populate those 4 steps based on the subtask, which I created a task from. So is it possible to already do this type of workflow inside of Notion? And then is it possible if I clicked, for example, or I click and drag, or if I created a button to be able to click something like the dial left button and then select one of the steps, and then it would appear on the left box of the dial in your priorities section. And then if I would then click dial right, and then I could then click another one of the steps from one of the tasks, and then it would appear on the right side of the dial. And then I could then click either the left side or the right side in the dial in your priorities box, and then it would like turn a different color to be the priority that I'm working on right now. So is it possible to do that inside of Notion? And then are there any other software infrastructure like template type apps or easy ways to create this type of functionality without having to use vibe coding tools? While Notion provides a solid foundation for organizing information, it currently lacks the native flexibility to recreate your specific Qubit Connect user experience without significant workaround and external coding. Can Notion do this? Notion's current capacity only partially cover your requirements: table and buttons, AI integration, priority dial. Best alternatives: Flutterflow. Create the cube, swiping animation, and visual dial. It allows you to connect your own API, OpenAI easily. Bubble, Glide. Excellent if data starts in a spreadsheet and has built-in Glide AI that can handle task breakdown workflow with very little setup. Softer, good for the community aspect you mentioned, allowing you to create a user-facing dashboard. Recommendation for the dial and Qubit functionality. Flutterflow or Bubble are strongest bets. They allow you to design the UI and mockup. Okay. All right, so let's revisit all of the topics that we've discussed within this chat wall from the very first conversation through to right now, and then make a list of tasks. And then next to each of the tasks, write down the 4 steps that were needed to accomplish that task so that I could then copy that and then paste it into my app. And then I would be able to see all of the different tasks that are necessary and all the steps to accomplish those tasks. And I want you to order them. So, like, if there's a prerequisite, something has to be done before something else. For example, if you were to put these items into a Gantt chart, so then I want you to make sure that the tasks at the top of the list are the things which need to be done before the tasks at the bottom of the list. Okay, but I want them in a spreadsheet form, so that way I can open up the spreadsheet and then I can see it within the spreadsheet. So I don't need you to write down step one, step two, step three, step four for each of the subtasks. What I want you to do is to create 4 columns. So column one is the task, the major task, and then column two is step one, column three is step two, column three is column four is step three, and column five is step four. So I need you to do that because I would prefer if you had like an actual template that I can use rather than just a list of tasks. Can you do that? Yeah, but I need that. I need that. I need that template so I can click it and then it opens up the um, the Google tool that is like a spreadsheet. Okay, identify your execution gap versus location. Research process heavy. Research process heavy competitor gaps. The 4-step logic map one click. I don't even know what that is. I don't know. How do I use this feature? Is it adding AI to this? It's weird. Jeez, okay. Hold on a sec. Okay, can you delete the first line? Oh, I don't know what's going on now. It's not actually what I wanted to do. Anyways, actually, I don't really like when I pick these tools because then after it messes up, see, I can't go back and change this prompt. So actually, you see, once you create a canvas, then it's game over. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I can just copy and paste this. All right, so now we can open up Google Drive. So I'm starting to get the feeling like Qubit Connect, I'm not going to actually be able to write Cube It anymore. I just feel like nobody will really understand it. So if nobody understands it, it's not going to be useful. Right, so this is Qubit Connect. This is it. Like, the thing is that you can do it manually. All right, the first one is identify the execution gap versus Notion dashboards. Research process heavy competitor gaps. Finalize 4-step limit logic. Map to one. So I don't really understand this. Notion is a knowledge storage app. It's a place where tasks go to die in beautiful but cluttered dashboards. Qubit Solution. Qubit is an execution app. It is designed to be a hallway. You pass through, not a room you stay in. We prioritize finishing over organizing. Most apps to do is to use infinite lists that lead to analysis paralysis. Gap. There's no app that forces a limit on complexity. Qubit wins by being the only tool that says if it's more than 4 steps, you aren't ready to start yet. The rule: every task must have exactly 4 steps. While working, memory can only hold about 4 chunks of information at once. Cognitive load theory. By limiting to 4, user feels this is doable rather than this is a project. The user opens app, types tasks, clicks Qubit, AI prompts, 4 steps. Yeah, okay, I get it. Okay, so how does this feed into task 2? Now that you have this answer, we know exactly what to build. The table must have 4 columns and steps, no more, no less. I have updated your file one more time. I pre-filled the strategic foundation data. Gee. Okay, so we did this task. Now in the app, like, I don't really care. Like, so the thing is, how do you delete rows, and then what happens to deleted rows? So I guess it goes into the archive, right? It's just archived by date. I'm just gonna cut this, and then we're gonna put it down here. Does that give you the data you needed to complete this task set? Jeez. See, this is the problem. It's like as soon as you click canvas, then you're never going to get out of it. Swipe to dial. Nice. All right. This is not working out. I mean, it's kind of interesting. Steps, click to dial. Create channel. Left, buy machine. Right. What's this? This is nothing. Swipe to dial. It's too big. I can't see it. I don't know. Okay. Oh, you actually couldn't see that. Anyways, it just made a little mock-up. Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. Check environment. Select a platform. The next mock-up. It's a little bit crazy. So it basically just gave me the force. And then it's like, okay, so click, let's say we set the questionnaire as dial left, and then this is dial right, and then you click this to swipe to dial, and then it's just this huge thing that you can't even see. Okay. What are the Google anti-gravity setup steps we need so that we have the highest probability for success coding this and can move through this task? Now, the thing is that oh no, this is the textbook. Yeah, this is the textbook. We don't mess around with that. I don't want to get that thing messed up. Flutter flow. Flutter flow, bubble, glide, softer. All right. See, the thing is that, like, I mean, there was some benefit to this process because I took a case study and then I tried to apply the case study to myself. It wasn't just the process that the AI gave me. It wasn't as useful as I would have liked, and this actually just proves my point. So the point is that when humans are creating work processes, they are much more likely to succeed because they're based on some experience. Now, when you talk about AI hallucination, then what you're really saying is it's trying to give you a good answer, and like its good answer isn't necessarily a tried, true, and tested answer. It all depends on how much experience the AI has of solving that specific problem. And in this case, I mean, I don't know how, like, if it really has some like great experience with setting up my project. Okay, this is a question I have. Okay, so in general, I would say that you are extremely proactive and that you've come up with all kinds of interesting and maybe relevant and some maybe less relevant ideas. And some of them I can act on and some of them I can't act on. So I want you to work in reverse. Instead of qubit, meaning instead of like taking a subtask and breaking it down into more subtasks, I want you to take the approach of like the concept of, I would call them touch points. So, for example, in the example that I shared with you when we were talking about this guy who was going to be building some kind of finance app, so he wants to figure out like how to provide some solution for his future customers. We were able to look at this concept called touch points, meaning that if we were going to think about what are the overall categories of things that we need to work on, we came up with basically four things. One was how do we produce word of mouth marketing? And then number two was like, how are we going to produce marketing messages? And then number three was how are we going to set up some kind of website sales page for people to sign up to a like a I don't know what's that called when you want people to a wait list to join some kind of wait list. And then and number four is to build a product. Now you looks like you put build a product in the first place, and I don't think that building a product is necessarily the first place. I think the first place is probably like developing marketing messages and maybe before developing, I don't know. So the question is, do we need to, before we develop marketing messages, do we need to actually create like a waitlist landing page and then start to try to direct traffic to that landing page? Because the question is like, what is your first goal? Maybe my first goal is to get 100 questionnaire, 100 people to answer a questionnaire, or maybe my goal is to get 100 people to join a waitlist, and or maybe my goal is to get 100 followers on a social media platform, or like so. The question is like, which goal can we pick as the like the first goal that we're going to work toward, and then all the other activities and goals are going to flow into that specific idea. And so we want to set up like a one major goal that we're going to use as the like the project name, the name of. So, and this goes back to the idea of Qubit Connect. And one of the issues right now is that we only have one page, and that one page you can make like an unlimited amount of, or maybe you could only create. Let's say you can only create 25 tasks, and then so then once you reach the 25, then you run out of rows, and then the question is, okay, so then why am I paying for this? Like, am I going to pay for this app? Why would I pay for the app? Well, the reason you're paying for the app is because after you have created 25 rows, then you can create more rows and you also get access to your history if you have the paid version of the app. And then you're like, well, you know, that's like a list of 25 things, but is it possible for me to see these list of tasks in separate folders? Because when we go back to this idea of like sharing tasks, then that means that I'm going to be downloading a package of tasks, like a pre-populated qubit screen. If I'm going to download a pre-populated qubit screen, that means that I need to be able to select like one. Is it just going to add it to the end of all of my tasks, or am I actually downloading something? So is my page, is my Qubit Connect main page, is that going to be able to like separate into different? Sounds like we need project folders. And then, okay, so then my question is like, what are the project folders that we need to be looking at right now? And then what is like one goal that we could work toward? And then after we complete those couple of project folders, we will achieve that goal, which incorporates much of the work that we've discussed so far. Reverse qubit. My goodness. The first goal isn't launch the app. It's getting 100 high quality signups on a wait list who have also completed a feedback questionnaire. 100 email addresses plus 100 completed questionnaires result. You have 100 people telling you exactly what Qubit packages they want to download. 4 project folders, touch points. You've achieved this goal. To achieve this goal, you need to organize your Qubit Connect screen into 4 distinct project folders. Each folder contains 4 rows. Each row has your signature 4 steps folder, the voice, marketing messages. Craft the hooks that make people stop scrolling and click. The capture, create the buckets to catch the traffic and filter. What is this? The waitlist questionnaire to understand their needs. The crowd, the word of mouth of social. The crowd, get other UGC creators to talk about the philosophy of the 4-step execution. The proof, minimal viable product. Your goal is 100 people. Prototype. This reminds me of one of Tom's checklists. Inventiveness. What does this inventiveness checklist say about this? Endeavor needs to do this activity. The entity does this activity. That can implement. Okay, so this goes into my other app because I created a simplified version of the state inventiveness checklist. Okay. Anyways, you can see what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to create like an overall goal. All right, let's jump into the Project Arrowhead, the brainstorming module. Because I'm not just, so the issue right now, the issue is that the Qubit Connect app, it is that we're talking about hands. And the issue with hands is that the hands generally want you to tell them what to do. You see, because the hands, there's no brain there, there's no eyes, there's no heart. It's just hands. It's just tell me what to do. So it's like I just want lists of things to do. And then as soon as you start saying like, well, I need an overall goal, you're saying I need vision. All right, so what's the vision? Like, what is it that you're trying to achieve? And I would say one potential vision is like 10 questionnaires. I want to get 10 people to give me feedback from questionnaires. Because then, well, what's the infrastructure I'm going to need in order to get feedback from 10 people? It means that you're going to have to figure out what are you going to do with your Reddit community? What are you going to do with your TikTok, Instagram communities? What are you going to do with your LinkedIn community? And then you need to design posts for those communities. So you're going to start communicating. And then what are you communicating? You're going to start to communicate the methodology behind this thinking methodology, this thinking framework, like the idea. What is the application about? What is it? What are you going to discuss? What's it for? And then the actual production of the infrastructure is separate. So for example, here in my Space Between Ideas channel, I talk a lot about infrastructure and how do I build infrastructure and how am I building this business and what's the concept behind this business and how did I develop this concept behind the business. But now that we're actually going to be producing a business, then we need to have a separate entity which is going to be producing marketing messages for these different for Qubit Connect. And then the question is like, okay, so this is no longer a Qubit Connect problem, because Qubit Connect is like, how do we create these lists of things to do. So we're talking about a coach. So the Cubic Connect is actually a coach. So the thinking framework is how do we produce tasks and then how do we break those tasks down into 4 subtasks. So the coach can go in and say, hey guys, okay, you guys are working on this project. And then, all right, so we need you to make a list of your tasks. And then also we want you to break those down into smaller subtasks. But what I'm talking about now is like vision. So how do we actually create objectives? Okay. All right, so we've been talking about Cubic Connect, and I would say that Cubic Connect is more for, like you said, it's for implementation. So now, before we talk about implementation, and in order to talk about this concept of reverse qubit, how do we go back? And so the thing is that we can't actually do a reverse qubit. What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to go into another methodology. And so I'm going to copy and paste some text, and I want you to go through these questions and these thinking ideas, and then provide for me a roadmap of what we need to do. And then at the very end, I want you to use basically one sentence to summarize the first objective or goal that we want to be running after. Okay, somebody else said. So I have these alarms because otherwise I'll just sit here and talk all day long. Qubit strategic roadmap. Can I listen to this? Export to docs. Yes, I can. So what we're going to do is we're going to export to docs. It's not quite filled out yet. Or is it? If I click the audio button, can you hear it? Huh, you can't. I did get all the. Hmm. Yeah, it's just too messed up right now. Well, I mean, so it's hard to like redirect it once you've kind of outlined something like that. All right, let's do it like this. We're going to put Q Connect over here, and we're going to put Q Connect over here. And then under here, we're going to put 4 of these. All right, we got word of mouth. Let's start with what I envisioned. So I think number 1 is going to be, I want to get to know Reddit a little bit. Number 2, I think we're going to need to be we're going to go into LinkedIn. Reddit and LinkedIn. Now, see, the thing is that there's this real temptation to talk TikTok and Instagram. But the thing is that I've tried doing this many times, and I feel like because of the requirement for the type of content that TikTok and Instagram, like the stuff that they want you to produce, I feel like probably that could be demotivating over time. Because I mean, I'm not sure that I can produce the kind of output that necessarily was the best for those platforms. I'm not sure that that's the user experience that I'm focusing on. So I think we're just going to delete that. And not really sure what to do with LinkedIn exactly, but I feel like that's a potential area that I'd like to focus on. So the way that I want to do this is the role that I want in LinkedIn is something like what's this? There we go. All right, so I want to like work. So the role, I'm talking about this right now, and leader persona, worker persona. Okay, then I don't need any of these anymore. And so then the posts, and feedback, and prototype. Display. And I want this to loop back. And I want this to loop back. Now, did I capture everything here? Okay, and then step 2. So this is phase 1. Prototype. What do you mean prototype? Prototype in terms of, what I mean is templates. Prototype templates. Now, after this, we need to create the wait list, but the website wait list. Then we have the product. Templates. All right. So then what does this mean? All right, let's start with this one. I think this is so. Take interesting posts from Instagram and then put them in the Qubit Connect structure and share them. Okay, so save Instagram posts to a folder inside of Instagram. Create a prompt inside of Google, what do they call that? Gemini 2, that take the transcript from the video and turn it into a Qubit Connect spreadsheet of task and 4 steps. Make a post image in Google Notebook LM with the infograph tool. Post in LinkedIn and also share in the Reddit group. Do this 10 times before making changes or more plans. There's the secret. This is the secret sauce right there. Do this 10 times before making changes or more plans. There you go. All right. So my first goal number 1, is 10 Instagram. How do we call this one? I'm going to do this for step 1. Can you give me a project name with as few words as possible? You see, I don't like it. Once you click, it messes up the whole thing. It's completely messed up now. Yeah, so it's dead. It's basically, it's what? Okay, we're on the wrong one. That's why. InstaQubit. 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 All right, that's good. I gotta go, so we're all good.